My name's Tristan Cork and I am the founder of the charity Finnbar's Force. We set up Finnbar's Force in 2017 following the passing of my son Finnbar. He had suffered with a brain tumour and it was a rare type of brain tumour that was untreatable. Finnbar was a happy, healthy 5-year-old. He'd been hitting all of the completely normal milestones up until that point. He was into all the things that little boys are into. So riding his bike, climbing trees, playing football. He loved Lego, he loved action heroes. Your average 5-year-old boy. A couple of months after he started school, we started to notice a few symptoms and he seemed tired, but we put that down to starting school. But one day he started to say he felt dizzy and he'd tell us that the room was spinning upside down. And it was happening every few days, maybe every 3 or 4 days. And then it seemed to become more and more frequent. And then he started to seem a little bit different. And I really vividly remember taking him to a birthday party and there was a bouncy castle and he didn't want to go on it. He didn't want to go and play with all his friends, and that was really unusual for him. And I can remember going out of the room and just saying, "What's going on? Why are you being like this?" And he just said, "Daddy, I just don't feel like myself anymore." And I think at that point is when I started to get really worried. We went to a doctor again, and this time we were sent to the hospital. We went early in the morning and the scan took ages and it was horrible because they sedated him and he woke up in the middle of it screaming for mum and dad, and we went with him and it just felt awful. We went down to Adam Brookes and spent a week there when they did further tests and more scans. And then about a week later I got a phone call from the neurosurgeon who'd done the biopsy and he said, "It's a brain tumour." It was one that couldn't be operated on, and it was one that they could only treat with chemotherapy or radiotherapy. We'd gone from having all this hope that it was something minor to suddenly this is one of the worst case scenarios. We don't know how much he was aware, but he was making some signs of being aware. But he'd by that point been taking steroids and other medications for several months, and they were really taking their toll. He had a really serious bleed in his tummy, which is one of the side effects of steroids. And he was rushed into hospital, taken to one side and just said, "Look, this is it. We don't think he's going to survive this." And he passed away that night with us around him, and yeah, that was the night that really our lives completely changed forever. I knew then that I wanted to do something to help people that were in a similar position. We had a particularly tough journey, to be honest with you. The period of time from diagnosis to when he passed away was only around about 7 months. Nobody ever sort of prepares you for that. Nobody can tell you what you need to do. And it's tough. And actually, whilst you're going through that, life is carrying on. So all of the stuff that you have to do on a day-to-day basis carries on. You still have to pay the bills, you still have to eat and feed your family, you have to take your other children to school. Sometime after he died, we decided we wanted to do something to help people in the same situation. And we also wanted a way to keep his legacy alive and keep his name alive. So Finnbar's Force was the outcome. We aim to support families practically and emotionally and financially where necessary. So we do that by providing small grants of up to £500 at the point of diagnosis or suspected diagnosis of a cancer. That's to help with the costs of suddenly maybe not being able to go to work for a week, or being at a faraway hospital where you need to buy food or pay for accommodation or fuel. We want to be able to be there as a group of people that families can come to talk and to be around people that understand what's going on. We want to offer support with day-to-day sort of life, really, things that might just be a bit of a struggle when you're tired and emotional, there's someone there just to take a bit of weight off of your shoulders. We're open to any kind of therapy that would provide relief to a family going through a really tough time. Last year we opened our support centre, The Den, and as you'll see, it's a very warm, homely feeling space where we can bring families for support, either with one of our therapists or to come and have a chat with us, a coffee, a cup of tea, and maybe just talk about what they're going through. Perhaps we can point them in the direction of some advice. Sort of get out and support our events, which you can find details of on our website and our social media. We also need volunteers, so we, as I say, run lots of events that need volunteers to support with. We also need volunteers to help us support families here at the Den, and also we need volunteers who are able to run errands for families. Fundraising and making donations is the only way that we receive funding at the moment.